Clearly, he didn't mind my sneaking, even thinking I was playing along. Cold sweat drenched me. I replayed every detail, certain I hadn't exposed myself. Otherwise, I'd have been beaten to a pulp. After this, I didn't dare stay in the truck, following Qi Xiang back. Lying on the passenger seat with Qi Xiang snoring in the back, I couldn't sleep. I faced two choices: grit my teeth and follow Qi Xiang to the end, or find a way to escape these beasts in human skin. But in this deep border forest, how could I outrun Qi Xiang on foot? If caught, my fate would be worse than the girls. I thought all night, eyes bloodshot, unable to decide. The next day, the convoy entered the border's forested mountains, staying on the outskirts. The true deep forests, like those near Hajiang's border, no one dared enter. Stories told of people lost there, never returning. Looking out, I saw endless green forests, mist swirling with occasional lonely purple sim trees. The forest felt lifeless, a place of death. At night, the convoy stopped for safety. In the dead of night, I faintly heard roars of wild animals, maybe leopards or wolves from afar. I realized the true meaning of this deep forest: no humans, but not without wild beasts. I became more cautious, trying to blend in enthusiastically with the team. After the previous night, H often picked on me. SN, riding with him, stopped smiling at me. The twins always gave me cold stares. Qi Xiang seemed pleased to see me isolated, pulling me closer and explaining the trafficking business. I learned that human trafficking was a vast network. Some lured victims, others drugged them, and some transported them. Qi Xiang handled the final stage, buying people from trusted traffickers in Laotsai, then crossing the border forest to sell them to remote Chinese villages. This avoided exposure and maximized profits by hiking prices. Of course, testing the goods was part of it. In the trafficking world, girls were called merchandise, divided into untouched and used. Qi Xiang casually recounted trafficking cases, like selling an ethnic Ming college graduate to a Chinese family. She bore 3 daughters in a row. The family, displeased, demanded a refund. Qi Xiang resold her elsewhere. Before leaving, they let her see her 3 daughters one last time. She smothered them with a blanket and stabbed herself in the heart with a fruit knife. Another case involved a girl sold to 7 brothers. She kept escaping, so they chained her in a cow pen until she went mad. Qi Xiang spoke lightly, as if discussing ordinary goods, but his stories chilled me, revealing the blood and sin on their hands. During our talks, I noticed Qi Xiang cherished a jade ring on his thumb, often caressing it. My grandfather, a jade craftsman in Laokai's market before liberation, taught me to appraise jade. I glanced at Kung's ring. It was genuine, likely expensive. The convoy traveled through the deep forest for another day, reaching a mountainous area in China near Hajiang's border. Qi Xiang said we'd arrived. This village was the first stop, where we'd sell 2 girls. As our trucks entered the village, children spotted us, waving excitedly, running after the trucks, singing unfamiliar folk songs. Villagers poured out of their homes, faces beaming as if it were a festival like Cao Valley Love Market. The trucks stopped at a large dirt courtyard. An elderly Chinese ethnic man in black, smiling broadly, waited at the gate. Dijang, that's Uncle O.S., a big name here, a regular client. First time here, get out and don't talk nonsense. Follow the others? Qi Xiang instructed, then opened the door. I followed. Uncle Ellis approached, grinning. Qi Xiang, this old man's been waiting forever. You're finally here. Sorry, Uncle Ellis, mountain roads are tough. We're late. Qi Xiang replied. No, not late. Let's see the merchandise first. Absolutely, let's do it. H. Sen, bring out the goods for a spin. SN and H responded, heading to the trucks. The villagers crowded around, like at a Gutao festival. SN jumped into his truck, dragging out a bound girl. The crowd, like wild animals in heat, had eyes gleaming in the dark, chillingly eerie. The girl screamed in panic, struggling. Someone touched her face, and she desperately dodged. So fresh, so smooth. Old Ingu, don't touch, I'm buying her, don't ruin her. Is this my wife? Way better than my wife. Old Ingu, let's negotiate after your 5 brothers are done, let me try. This one's wild, untamed. SN dragged the girl like a lamb among wolves, her indigo dress torn, her cries heartbreaking. Meanwhile, H pulled another girl from his truck. She was fiercer, biting hard on a man's hand and refusing to let go. The man grabbed her hair, slamming her head against the truck until her forehead bled, forcing her to release. I stood outside the crowd, watching the madness, trembling, my fists clenched uncontrollably. Uncle L's here, someone shouted, and the crowd parted. Uncle L's arms crossed, approached Sen's truck with Chi Si-eng. Ellis reached out, grabbed the girl's chin, inspecting her like a pig at the market, nodding, "Good, this type can bear children." Chi Si-eng grinned. Of course, my goods are never subpar. They moved to the other truck. Seeing the girl's bloody forehead, Ellis frowned, saying she was too wild. Chi Si-eng laughed. Too wild for Uncle Ellis to handle. Ellis laughed loudly, saying he had 100 ways to tame disobedient girls. Alright, take these 2 to the guest house. Guard them well. Tonight we'll prepare the wedding feast. Let's eat. A few villagers stepped forward. The girl struggled and screamed, but the crowd showed no mercy, growing more excited, shouting and following to watch the spectacle. The village buzzed with festive joy. I followed Chi Si-eng in a daze. The hellish scene scrambled my thoughts. In this remote Chinese village, buying and selling girls was no different from trading livestock. The girls were tied up in a shabby dirt courtyard, already decorated with red paper and lanterns. Uncle LS expertly arranged seats, raising a rice wine bowl. Folks, the convoy brought 2 new brides to continue our lineage. No more words, cheers. The crowd raised ceramic bowls of wine, noisily thanking them. 5 young grooms also grinned, stepping forward to toast. Chi Si-eng and his gang stood, drinking deeply. Watching this, my hands trembled holding my wine bowl, my heart icy. I realized Kung's words were true. In this remote village, human evil was laid bare without pretense. To justify it, they quietly saw buying girls as a blessing for the village. I recalled a folktale about a beautiful village girl tricked and sold to China, living worse than death, like a chained animal. After 3 rounds of wine, LS waved. All right, grooms, go to the bridal chamber, but take it easy, one at a time. I learned the 2 girls were sold to 5 brothers in one family. Chi Si-eng, drunk, explained that the village was poor, and one man couldn't afford a wife. Brothers pooling money for one wife was common. The 5 grooms, faces flushed, smashed their wine bowls and rushed to the rooms. Other men followed, some opening the windows wide. From my seat, I could see a corner of the room through a window. The crowd around the window cheered. The girl's pained screams inside gave me goosebumps. This was the girl I'd seen in the truck, who said her siblings depended on her, begging me to spare her. Now she was being tortured, and I could only watch. I felt that, though I didn't trick them, I was complicit. Later, I'd even get a share of their sale money. Thinking of money, the 50,000 VND my mother tucked into my pocket felt blood-stained, steeped in sin. Unable to swallow, I told Chi, seeing I needed the bathroom. Engrossed in the spectacle, he didn't notice my expression. H and SN, watching, bet on which groom would last longer. The twins, rarely joining in, discussed eagerly with the others. I stood, glancing at the window. I saw 4 or 5 men pinning the girl's limbs, their eyes gleaming like wild beasts. The groom acted before the crowd. The girl struggled but couldn't resist their strength, eventually giving in, screaming in despair, her eyes red. Simultaneously, another wedding night unfolded similarly in the back room. As I turned to leave, the girl's eyes met mine. Her gaze filled with hatred and despair, as if to tear me, a trafficker apart, rooted me to the spot. I couldn't meet her eyes, finding a secluded corner to relieve myself, my mind wandering for a few minutes.